Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to greet you, and hopefully you had a nice evening, and hopefully you're going to have a nicer day. So we are going to start with the first committee, a committee on economic and monetary affairs. And as they didn't have any textual changes, then who from the committee can I invite to the floor to give to read out the clauses? Ireland, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Resolution on the question of recent economic and financial crisis. Have these crises demonstrated a need for further accelerating European integration to help prevent similar disasters in the future? And would this mean that the EU would have to extend its power into fields that are not traditionally under national competence? The Model European Parliament. 1. Reaffirms the inviolability of a nation's constitution, which implies a limit on European integration. 2. Further requests EU member states to cooperate in order to deal with problems such as demographic change, which is seen to be an important issue. 3. Emphasises the enforcement of a new EU quota decided by financial experts, which reflects the total amount of risky ventures of financial institutions and corporations. 4. Calls upon the members of state of the European Union to introduce strict regulations to monitor their daily banking affairs and to intervene in case of danger of a bank's insolvency. 5. Proclaims the idea of creating a European rating agency in order to get an objective and independent evaluation of countries. 6. Recommends the extension of the ESM aid with the aim of stabilising the European currency in every country of the EU. 7. Recommends the enforcement of stricter sanctions in the case of infractions of the terms of the ESM. 8. Approves that the EU countries should work closely together in order to create increased cooperation EU and non-EU countries. 9. Encourages the creation of a competitive economic point system, which would evaluate member states in terms of how well they are following the goals of the EU has set for their budget. 10. Supports the idea of cooperation in the EU, of cooperation in creating EU strategies in public finance management, which would include taxation and state spending policies in case of possible financial crisis. 11. Encourages the need for a council of experts to support countries in managing their financial crisis in case of a bailout by giving A. Guidelines on reconstructing the financial policies, B. Proposals for domestic investment, and C. Financial support. 12. Instructs the President to forward this resolution to the European Parliament, the European Commission, and the European Council of Ministers. Thank you.
Thank you, Ireland. And who from the committee can I ask to carry out the opening speech? Germany. And to all the speakers, please talk clearly. Don't rush too much, because everybody wants to understand.
Thank you, Madam President. Honorable Presidency, fellow delegates. Only yesterday, Portugal announced their need for financial support from the European Union. 58 billion for Ireland, 110 billion euro for Greece, and now another 80 billion for Portugal. And who will it be next? Maybe Spain? How much can the EU still pay? As we can see, the financial crisis started in 2007, obviously left its footprints behind. Consequently, we all have to ask ourselves, how much can the currency union still endure? On introducing the euro in 1999, its fathers already criticized that a common currency can't work with a common policy. This might be a time for a change, and now the fathers might say, we have told you so. Yes, they did tell us so, but still the European Union is way too young to introduce a common policy. It is our priority to secure and respect the sovereignty of each nation. Our way to solve the euro crisis is based on solidarity and cooperation, however, also on stricter regulations for countries seeking the financial aid. As a union and in the common interest in saving the euro, it is essential to bail out member states. Yet, as we all should know, we live in a world in which nothing, almost nothing, is for free. We support the regulation of the European Stability Mechanism for making sure that the money which is used to bail out countries is also used efficiently and to control the restructuring of the financial policies. In case of infraction, we want to impose sanctions. Another prospect of our resolution is not only to solve the crisis, but also to prevent a new one. Therefore, we request an increased supervision of the bank system, since we painfully had to experience the importance of a stable bank system. So far, our resolution might seem like a nightmare of rules, sanctions, and regulations. It seems, but it is not as bad. The core of our resolution is cooperation. Strategies for facing the impacts of demographic change and budget deficits can be made in cooperation. Now I'm using the word common. Common is a huge word the persons in charge of the European Union are mostly afraid of. Let me clarify this. We're not talking about common taxes, common old pensions, or common budgets. The committee agreed that we can't expect one financial policy to fit to each country. There are specific needs for each country. We would just like the member states to cooperate with the aim to balance the budget of all member states. Times have changed. We can't just spend more money than we actually have, and the EU will not be able to always pay and pay. The euro is more than a currency. It is a responsibility and a duty for the well-doing countries, as well as for the countries mostly struck by the crisis. So let us take one more step and come together and show the critics that the euro can endure more than once thought. Thank you.
Thank you, Germany. And now we continue with factual questions. So push the word and, you know. (112) Austria.
Thank you, Madam President. My question regards OC number 9. Can you explain the competitive economic point system?
Denmark.
Depending on how well the member state is following those goals, which you repeat and set for the budget. Okay, thank you, Madam President. Depending on how well a member state is following those goals which the European Union has set for the budget, they can gain points. And those points, the only reward they can get by gaining those points is of an honorable character. And we believe that by introducing such a point system, we can improve each member state's motivation to get out of economic crisis. And obviously, no one wants to be no one wants to be ranked at the bottom of the table. So we believe that we can improve the motivation between countries and the member states. Thank you.
Thank you. Turkey, please.
Thank you, Madam President. In OC4, it says, in case of danger, can you be more specific about what you call dangerous situation? Thank you.
The speaker asked, what involves the danger situation? What? Okay, can you please speak more louder again?
Thank you, Madam President. In OC4, it says in case of danger. Can you be more specific about what you call a danger situation? Thank you.
The Netherlands.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I think it's pretty clear because it says it's about insolvency, so that's when a bank doesn't have enough money to do its transactions anymore.
France, please.
Thank you, Madam President. About OC number 5, could you please clarify what evaluation you are talking about?
Cyprus.
Thank you, Madam President. Evaluation refers to how well a country is doing economically.
Spain.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like you to clarify the meaning of operative clause number 2. How can we deal with the demographic change and why it is seen as an important issue? Thank you.
Germany.
Thank you, Madam President. As a committee, we agreed that demographic change refers to each country in the European Union, and we're just seeing a problem that the population is basically getting older, and we will have a problem with the labor force soon or in the future.
Thank you. Slovenia.
Thank you, Madam President. My question regards OC number 8. What do you mean by should work closer together? I mean, it's not concretely stated what is that? What do you mean by that? In what way should they work closer together? Thank you.
Spain, please.
Thank you, Madam President. When we are talking about cooperation, we are talking about, for example, in the European Stability Mechanism, include the non-Eurozone countries, and we are talking about cooperation between all the countries over the European Union. Thank you.
Thank you. 104, Belgium.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to know how you have chosen the experts mentioned in OC 3 and 11. Over.
Can Belgium please rephrase the question? Or louder?
Okay. So I would like to know how you have chosen the experts mentioned in OC 3 and 11. Over.
I'm really sorry. Poland.
Thank you, Madam President. They will be chosen by the regional governments.
Did you get answer? Do you want to rephrase your question?
Repeat, please?
Do you want to rephrase your question?
No, I didn't hear the answer very well.
Okay. The Netherlands.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I think in OC3 we have to decide which quotum we want and how this quotum should look like. And I think we are not capable of this commission. We're not experts, so that's why we thought, well, experts should make this quotum. And in the other part in OC11, it's of course another team of experts, but it's, for example, specialized in banking and how they should invest, because those people know how to, recover a country.
Thank you. Germany, 90.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, it's Hungary. And second of all, I would like to have a question on the ICG, which states that the monetary policy and budgets of the member states have an impact on the financial situation within the EU. I would like to ask the committee to clarify this impact and name some of the consequences that these policies have done. Thank you.
France.
Thank you, Madam President. I think it's very clear because the monetary and budget policy of a country can affect its deficit or something like that. And then, of course, it affects the whole EU. If a country has got a huge debt, then all the EU will be affected by that, and particularly the European currency, the euro. Thank you.
Thank you. Slovak Republic, 30.
I have a question about OC number 11. In this Council of Experts, will there be an expert from each EU member state, or how does it work?
Slovak Republic.
Thank you for the word, Madam President. I think it's not our responsibility to choose the experts now. Other people will do this.
Thank you. 69, Italy, please.
Thank you, Madam President. In OC number 9, the committee says, evaluate. Could you define the criteria of evaluation, please? Thank you.
Bulgaria.
Well, thank you, Madam President. Sorry, but oh yeah. Well, evaluation is, of course, what already existing rating agencies already do. But for example, rating agencies are from the United States, like Goldman and Sachs, and they rate this agency in their way. They think it's well, and we think, well, we should do it with European guidelines, and that's the difference, and that's why we should evaluate them with, for example, how many risks they have, and then give them a number for how well they do.
I'm very sorry. Bulgaria, 106.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to ask someone of the committee could clarify how the European Stability Mechanism works.
Germany.
Thank you, Madam President. The European Stability Mechanism just passed like 2 weeks ago, and it is a new institution of the European Union, which includes the fund which pays the whole bailout, but it also is controlling each member state of the European Union, and in case a Europe member state is not doing well, so their budget has a really high deficit, or their economy is not doing well anymore, they will intervene, they will support the country, and will decide whether they get the money from the fund, and they will as well control how this money is used.
Thank you, Germany. We have now 3 more factual questions, and 41, Latvia, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a question about OC7. What exactly are those stricter sanctions? Thank you.
Malta.
Thank you, Madam President. With a stricter sanction, we mean that if they don't respect the terms given by the ESM, they receive sanctions that are higher than they are now. I think it's pretty clear.
19, United Kingdom.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is very similar to the past question, but I feel it wasn't actually particularly answered. You said it was stricter sanctions. What do they actually consist of? You say they will be stricter than before, but what are they?
Germany.
Thank you, Madam President. So far, it's working like this. If you infract the regulations of the ESM, then you will have to pay money to the European Union in a way of a deposit. So, but if you manage to solve the problem and do better in your budget, but also in your economic situation, you will get that money back. So that's the sanction, how they are so far. But we think that is not enough. Like you can put higher sanction in a way of a higher amount of money, but also in other ways which have to be decided by experts, I think.
Thank you. Former Yugoslavian Republic of Macedonia, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to ask concerning the OC number 2. How would the cooperation between the EU member states help solve the issue concerning demographic change? Thank you.
France.
Thank you, Madam President. I think that first of all, that cooperation should be exchanges about, between the states, like they can give advice one to another, and I think that they should work together in order to try to find a common solution to that problems. Thank you.
Thank you. And now we finish with factual questions. Does anyone want to do amendment? If so, please raise your country card if you want to do amendment, or if you did amendment. Okay, it seems that we don't have any amendments for this committee. We are going to continue with open debate then. '58, the Netherlands.
Thank you, Madam President. I've heard the Commission have proposed a lot of things to experts. They say a team of experts has to decide this, a team of experts has to decide that. But the Commission also said, sorry.
It seems that you need to speak a little bit slower.
Sorry. I will start again.
And louder.
And louder then. The Commission says they have a lot of things they give to experts. The experts has to decide that. The experts have to decide this. But the Commission also said they cannot decide about what expert that should be. Isn't that a bit of, well, you don't really solve the problem?
Lithuania.
Thank you, Madam President. Financial experts are not the only one how we are going to solve this kind of problem. We should decide about EU quantum, which is mentioned in OC3, and those experts should be an appropriate education gained, and what? That's okay, I think so.
Thank you. 84, Finland.
Thank you, Madam President. I couldn't help noticing that in your resolution there is absolutely nothing about the European Central Bank. In fact, I did not find anything about giving loans to banks in general. So my question is, did you forget the existence of the ECB, or perhaps you found irrelevant?
I wanted to remind you that please don't raise your country cards before the speaker has finished their question, but now he's finished, so please raise the cards. Bulgaria.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, actually, the function of the European Central Bank is to stabilize the euro, and our question is on integration, and we felt that it wasn't as relevant because the European Central Bank, all it does is it regulates the inflation and the euro, so that the stability of the euro is compared to other currencies. So that hasn't anything to do with integration, we believe. Thank you.
Finland, you want to specify?
Yes. Thank you, Madam President. In fact, that is incorrect. The European Central Bank gives loans to European banks in order to maintain a working bank system in Europe and therefore maintaining the whole economy.
Slovak Republic.
Thank you for the word, Madam President. I think we didn't mention the ECB because we think that they are already doing a good job. So there are no improvements we can suggest.
Thank you. 119.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a question for the committee. I would like to know if the committee talked about the bonuses for the bankers, which was one of the causes of the economical crisis.
Poland.
Thank you, Madam President. Those goals will be set for each country, that every country has achieved the goal for it, that the economy of this country can grow.
Thank you. 56 Malta.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to focus on point number 2. It mentions a cooperation between states dealing with the demographic change that are considered an important issue causing crisis. So I think there's a real confusion between the cause and the consequence. Well, I mean, I wonder, you know, that the only way to intervene on demographic change is to act quote brakes and repressive brakes. But we are not a multi-steers age, and it's impossible to use...
Sorry, can you speak slower and louder?
Okay.
And rephrase your question.
Okay. I'd like to focus on the attention of the Assembly about clause number 2. It mentions a cooperation between states dealing with demographic change. So I think there is a real confusion between cause and consequence, because I wonder, you know, that you cannot intervene on demographic change relating to a too wide population like European is. In a few words, demographic issue has a marginal role, and it's impossible to intervene against it with a lack of cooperation. And in conclusion, I'd like to point out the contradiction between point number 1 and points number 5 and 9. First, it talks about the inviolability of nation's constitution, and then it's going to give EU.
Please, committee, behave a little bit. Dear Speaker, ask a question and do not make a statement. So ask a question shortly.
Okay. Okay. In a few words, I think demographic issues cannot be solved with this kind of resolution, because it's possible to intervene against a too wide population like European ones is. Thank you.
Denmark.
Thank you, Madam President. But the European Union, we are not suggesting that the European Union can intervene on this area. What we are suggesting is that the European Union can create some guidelines for the member states to how they could solve this issue. Thank you.
Was it answer to your question? Okay. 14, you have to wait until your microphone goes on. 14 Lithuania.
I'm from Slovakia. Thank you, Madam President. My question is, the last financial crisis was because of the speculations on real estates, for example, in Spain. Now there are going speculations about the wheat and food on. What does the committee want to do against that? Because it's food, and so it's even more dangerous.
Cyprus.
Thank you, Madam President. What you said was not the only reasons for the economic crisis. So there are other more important issues that led to the crisis, and what we suggest in our resolution solves most of them. So we believe what you said is covered indirectly. Thank you.
Thank you. 14, Lithuania.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to ask why committee is thinking that demographic change is a really big problem.
Former Yugoslavian Republic of Macedonia.
Thank you, Madam President. The demographic change means that the people are getting older and there will be no workforce. And because the older people don't work, they are just receiving a pension, they can not work. So I think that's an issue. The country will lack labor force.
Poland, you can add something.
You could see in France that if they want to change the retirement age only 2 years, you could see all the anger and all the it almost kind of looked like a revolution, because people don't want to work until they're old, so we have to cooperate during the retirement age for whole Europe, not to work with each other.
Thank you. 101, Austria.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to ask you, because what about the so much discussed transaction tax? Why didn't you discuss it? Did you discuss it?
Germany.
Thank you, Madam President. As we stated already, we thought that we are handling the crisis right now, and that's not a bank crisis, it's the euro crisis actually. So we got a problem that some euro countries are about to get insolvent. And about the transaction tax, I think we as a committee believe that it's nothing to implement only on Europe, because it will make our system less competitive. So I think the transaction tax is more an issue, a global issue, which have to be discussed worldwide and not just Euro-wide.
77, Ireland, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Earlier, a delegate suggested that the economic point system is a judge of a country's credibility. I just wonder if this is a very true statement. It doesn't seem that ranking countries in order to judge how well they follow these guidelines is a correct way of encouraging countries to improve, as it seems to just be a condescending way to look down on countries such as Ireland, maybe, that can't comply with them.
I remind the committee, do not raise your country cards before the speaker has finished. Now she's finished. Lithuania, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Point system is good for economy. When investors are going to invest because it raises in confidence, it is an economical point system. Did I answer your question? I hope so.
Ireland, do you want to clarify?
Yes, please. You suggested, no, my question really is, do you think judging a country on how well they can follow guidelines, and then you also suggested that if they do not follow these guidelines, there will be economic sanctions on an already financially unstable country, Do you think this is a way to encourage them to improve their situation?
Former Yugoslavian Republic of Macedonia.
Thank you, Madam President. If they follow these guidelines and they are ranked high, then a lot of other countries who see that they are on the top of the list and they would most likely want to invest in them. So by being top of the list doesn't only give you confidence, but also brings investors to your country.
Thank you. Please, delegate from Hungary. Wake up. Very nice. Turkey, please.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is also concerning the OC9. It says the creation of a competitive economic system. But do you think creating a competitive system between the states in the EU will create conflicts or will improve their economy? Because it can also create conflicts between the countries if they will be competitive between each other.
Bulgaria.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, actually, I think with competition causing problems in economics, economics is based on competition, like free market, most of it is competition. And with the point system, we believe that when a country is rated higher, perhaps some countries that aren't looked that well upon because they have a high deficit rate, high debt, perhaps countries could really see that and that they would be motivated because people would it would be really obvious that they're doing well and everyone would know it. And perhaps in that way, it wouldn't cause conflict, we don't think.
Thank you. Thank you. 51, Cyprus.
Thank you, Madam President. My question is on OC number 7, where you have the enforcement of stricter sanctions in the ESM. Before you said that the ESM, the sanctions were taking deposits. By increasing these deposits, how can a country fix their problem if you're taking their money away? Thank you.
Cyprus.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, there will be sanctions only if there is disobedience towards the rules and regulations the ESM gives. So, as the ESM gives money, can take it back. Thank you.
Thank you. 31, Lithuania.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm sorry if I didn't make an amendment about this, but my question regards to OC number 5. You are proclaiming that the idea of creating an European rating agency. I don't know if you know that there is a European rating agency. For example, euroratings.co.uk, economywatch.com, and its information is accessed by investors who operate on European markets. So, do you know that this is already done?
France.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I think that what we need is an independent rating agency so that then people can really confide in it and say that, well, the agency rates countries in an objective way. So that's not the case with the agency you mentioned.
Thank you. 3, Slovenia.
Thank you, Madam President. My question refers to OC number 8. Could you explain in which fields of economy or policy should countries work closer together? Thank you.
The Netherlands.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I believe I've answered this question, or somebody in my commission did already.
but we want to improve, of course, the cooperation between countries, because we want, to stabilize, of course, the currency, because it's a common currency, so we all have to work together, and I think that's pretty clear.
I think that the speaker wanted to know in which fields, like...
Well, thank you, Madam President, but I think that is, of course, in the fields of, for example, economic fields, and to specify, I think they should work together to stabilize the euro as a currency.
'78, Italy.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, I'd like an explanation according to the OC2. I think you agree with me saying that our country's economic strength depends on how successful we are in adapting working conditions in the production and to meet the rising average age and the fall in the number of young people starting out on their careers. So this is a really big problem in our society, actually, as you said in point 2. And I wondered if the Commission thinks it's enough to deal with this problem, promote a dialogue rather than act in a more meaningful and concrete way. Thank you.
Sorry, the committee wants to know what was the question.
Yeah, the question, thank you, Madam President, is you just promote a dialogue, but I think it's not enough to promote this problem, to resolve this problem of the average age that is always more and more growing in our society.
Spain.
Thank you, Madam President. We are not one only dialogue. We are going to say it in order to deal with this problem. Because, for example, promoting programs like the Erasmus and other like this, we can move in all the European Union. And I want to add that Spain is a good country and we can solvency this crisis, and we pass only with the trust of all the countries European. Thank you.
115, Belgium, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Can you explain me how you want to realize OC8? Because do you want to support them in like a financial way? Because now a lot of Euro countries have problems, and I think we should think first of them.
Germany.
Thank you, Madam President. I think the European Union is already based on cooperation, so I don't see a problem in promoting more cooperation. And we were just saying that the ESM is basically only for Euro countries, and we don't see the sense, and why is it just for Euro countries, but not for the whole European Union?
Thank you. 81, please.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a question that refers to OC number 10. I'm just wondering, do you suggest that the taxation and state spending in case of possible financial crisis should be the same in all European member states? Because then I think that there would be many problems attached to that.
Please commit to respect the speaker who is asking the question. If you raise your country sides, then you stop listening to her. So please, now she's finished, you can raise your cards. Thank you. And if you raise your cards, try to raise it so I can see the name of the country. Thank you. Malta.
Thank you, Madam President. In OC10, we say that each member state should help the others in case of crisis, not exactly use the same taxations and the same policies of state spending. Only help if there is some problem in another member state.
Okay, thank you. And I think that Slovak Republic wants to add something.
Thank you for the word, Madam President. I just want to add that when, for example, the tax system in a country isn't working, the EU can help the country to make the system work, but it's not mandatory. So the country decides on its own whether it takes the help of the EU or not.
Thank you. 111, Austria.
Thank you, Madam President. I have a question concerning OC3. What happens if the experts decide that an institution has a high risk?
The Netherlands.
Thank you, Madam President. Well, of course, the past financial crisis has a lot to do with risks and how financial institutions and companies invest in high-risk derivatives, for example, or in stock markets, which are risk-full. So that's why we want to make a new quotum which can show or reflect how risk this bank is, and if it sticks to the quote, it has a good label, so many people want to invest in it. If it doesn't have this label, and we think a small percentage can have this label, they will try harder to make more risk-free investments.
Thank you. And the last question is going to Turkey.
Thank you, Madam President.
Louder, please.
Thank you, Madam President. In OC2, it talks about how governments should be cooperating to solve the problem. I think we all know that governments should be communicating and cooperating. I think the real question is how they are going to solve it by having a contact with each other. So I please ask the committee to be more specific about the solution of the problem. Thank you.
Germany.
Thank you, Madam President. As we can see, in some countries, they're spending more than they're actually getting. Through the demographic change, we are fearing that this deficit, these debts, will increase in some countries. Our major problem of this is just that we can't implement anything because we got the national constitution of each country. If you want to tell a nation of the European Union how to manage this, we just can't basically, because it would go against their constitution. So that's why we just wrote cooperation. And an idea would be that you adapt the old pension. So if a country has like a really low retirement age and they have a high deficit, we could suggest to raise that age to retire. But we can just like support the idea. We can't implement that. And that's really the basic thing why we wrote cooperation.
Thank you. And please push the word sõna if you want to make a speech against. Lithuania, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This resolution has many unnecessary and already existing ideas. As we know, European Union is already encouraged countries to cooperate with each other. And this committee hadn't suggested any new method how to do it better. I can see no point of creating competitive economic point system because governments creating good goals for people welfare, not for advertisement like we are the best. And I think committee forgets that every member state integration to European Union is the most important aim. As for question how to support crisis, how to support countries in managing the financial crisis. All your mentioned methods are already existing. European Rating Agency is also already existing. Introductory speech was very insulting. Committee approach to many member states are very disappointing. It is sad that you just differentiating countries and don't give us good and realistic ideas. And as I mentioned it before, this resolution has too many ineffective and already existing OCs, so I invite you to vote against this resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lithuania. Who from the committee may I ask to carry out the speech? The Netherlands.
Thank you, Madam President, Honorable Presidency, fellow delegates. When I look at all the people here who are sitting here, then I think we're all here with the same goals and the same purposes. We're all here to do something in the way we think we can support the people in Europe and improve the lives of those who are living in Europe. The post-economic crisis confirms the need of a collaborating Europe, and it also confirms that we still have a lot of work to do to stabilize the economy. To make a step forward, we have come up with this resolution. We, from the Commission of Economic and Monetary Affairs, really believe that we try to make a resolution that fits all the member states. The delegate from Lithuania said we didn't reform and we didn't renew. But I believe we came up with reforms and with adjustments. As an example, we can say that we've tried to make good adjustments on already existing mechanisms as the ESM. We can also point out that we try to reform the failed banking system. We're trying to encourage banks and other financial institutions to take less risk with the EU quota. The Commission tried to make a European strategy too, and we even thought about future problems like the demography of Europe. Of course, we haven't made a perfect resolution, but besides the large economical powers, also smaller countries and smaller economies are mentioned while we were making these new plans. We tried to make Europe a place where investors want to invest in. My Commission, for example, tried to do this with the new point system, where mainly small and less renowned states can show how well they are working on their goals we have set for them. Besides all these points, we also would like to point out that it's also very important for Europe to help its member states to prevent the common currency from devaluing. Therefore, we also believe that we should help those states who are in great need of help. But we want to do it in a different way. We don't give the countries only financial support, because this only financial support will come back to the investors and they will invest it badly again. We want to give them ideas of how to restrict their policy in a way a crisis hopefully won't happen again. And that's why we send experts who can help this country to improve. We have tried to prevent and resolve future crises and instabilization in the Euro member states and of the Euro. We believe in European integration as long as national competence is guaranteed. In conclusion, I believe we have made a good resolution which fits everyone and prevents many possible future crises. As Warren Buffett, maybe the best investor of the world, said last year, we're in a cycle of fear which leads to people not wanting to spend and not wanting to make investments. And that leads to more fear. We will break out of it. It just takes time, and in our case, it just takes a good resolution. With this, I want to make an end to my speech. I hope I have given you a good idea of the difficulties of this problem, and I hope you all support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Netherlands. So now we start voting, but I'm going to remind you that please do vote. The green button means in favor. The red button you should push when you want to be against the resolution, and the yellow one when you want to abstain. So keep in mind that you should vote, and the voting starts now. Can I have your attention, please? With 17 abstentions, 52 votes in favor, 59 votes against, with approval of the presidents and with approval of the candidate countries, this resolution has been rejected. And now we can go and have a coffee break on this floor.